Hello everyone, this is Pooja Ram Rohit, Department of Biology, ASC Independent PU College. In the last few sessions, we discussed about ecosystem, its types and its components. Further, we took up an example of a pond ecosystem and understood how exactly we see an interaction among living organisms and interaction between living organisms and non-living components of an ecosystem. In this session, we shall learn about productivity. The term productivity refers to production, or we can say an output of a component. If an individual is working much better in a given time when compared to others, then we consider that the individual's productivity is high. That is, we are referring to the amount of work done by an individual in a given period of time. Similarly, with respect to ecosystem, we check the amount of organic matter produced by an organism, which is the productivity of the organism. So in this session, we will learn productivity with reference to ecosystem. Formation of organic matter. As we know, abiotic components include inorganic substances, organic substances, and environmental factors. During the process of photosynthesis, inorganic substances such as carbon dioxide from atmosphere, water from hydrosphere, in the presence of sunlight and a pigment called chlorophyll, combine to form glucose, which is an organic substance. So, utilizing the abiotic components, producers indulge themselves in the formation of organic matter. So, how much amount of organic matter is being produced by the individual is all about productivity. Productivity of an ecosystem refers to the rate of biomass production, that is, the amount of organic matter accumulated per unit area per unit time. Now let's take an example. Consider there are two farmers, label them as farmer 1 and 2. In a given area, say around 1 acre of land, they have sown the seeds and they are waiting for their harvest. It's been almost a year and now they are ready for harvesting. After harvesting, farmer 1 gets around 100 kilos of rice and farmer 2 gets around 120 kilos of rice. The given area that is utilized by the farmer is the same, that is 1 acre. The amount of time is also the same. They've taken almost an year. But when it comes to the amount of rice that is produced, it is varying. Farmer 2 has 20 kilos higher or more when compared to farmer 1's production. So we can say that the productivity with respect to rice with respect to farmer 2 is higher when compared to farmer 1. Right? So here we are discussing about how much of rice is being produced after harvesting. Similarly, when we consider an ecosystem, we need to check in a given ecosystem, in a given period of time, how much of organic matter is being produced. And this will vary in different ecosystems. It will vary in pond ecosystem, it will vary in river ecosystem, it will vary in forest ecosystem, it will definitely vary in desert ecosystem. So when we have to compare different ecosystem and when we have to understand the amount of productivity or the amount of biomass that is produced, we always calculate in terms of productivity. I've used a new term here, biomass. Bio stands for life. Mass stands for amount, or I can say weight. Right? So mass of living organisms in a given area or ecosystem at a given time is called the biomass. We're considering the mass of living organisms. So productivity is generally expressed in different units. In terms of weight, it is the unit used is G raised to minus 2 per year. In terms of energy, we use the unit kilocalorie meter raised to minus 2 per year. These are the two units in terms of weight and in terms of energy respectively. There are two types of productivity, primary productivity and secondary productivity. As we all know, productivity refers to the rate of biomass production. So biomass production refers to living organisms. So in an ecosystem, living organisms include the producers, the consumers and decomposers. With respect to productivity, we have two types of productivity, primary productivity and secondary productivity. The amount of organic matter which is produced by a producer is referred to as primary productivity, and the amount of organic matter produced by a consumer in an ecosystem is referred to as secondary productivity. In future slides, we shall discuss about primary productivity and secondary productivity in detail. Primary productivity. Primary productivity is defined as the amount of biomass or organic matter produced per unit area over a time period by plants during photosynthesis. So we are referring to primary productivity. As I told you earlier, if the production of organic matter is carried out by plants, then we use the term primary productivity. Now, when is the organic matter being produced in plants? When plants carry out photosynthesis. So, in this slide, you can see the picture which depicts the process of photosynthesis. Sunlight is trapped by the plant body, carbon dioxide is taken in, water is taken, and it releases oxygen, and during the process, formation of glucose takes place. So utilizing the inorganic nutrients, organic nutrient or organic substance is formed during the process of photosynthesis. So here we see there is formation of biomass or organic matter, and it is formed by the producers. Hence we use the term primary productivity. So primary productivity refers to as the amount of biomass or organic matter produced per unit area over a time period by plants during photosynthesis. There are various factors that affect primary productivity. Primary productivity refers to amount of organic matter or amount of biomass produced per unit area per unit time by plants, right? So one of the factor is the plant species, and I have already told you that the productivity will differ from ecosystem to ecosystem. So what are those factors which affect primary productivity? Primary productivity depends on the plant species inhabiting a particular area. Now consider pond ecosystem. You have varieties of plant species. You saw floating plants, you saw submerged plants, and you saw phytoplanktons, etc. When it comes to forest ecosystem, we have shrubs, we have trees, we have herbs and different varieties of plant species among these three groups. Right? So the productivity will differ from one species to the other species. As they differ from one species to the other species, based on which plant species is inhabiting a particular ecosystem, based on that the productivity also will differ. The second factor is variety of environmental factors. The environmental factors include availability of nutrients. The availability of nutrients in pond is different from the availability of the nutrients in forest ecosystem. Availability of water is different in forest ecosystem when compared to availability of water in desert ecosystem. So in this way, primary productivity will vary. It also depends on the photosynthetic capacity of plants. It's not necessary that all plants will carry out equal amount of photosynthesis. higher the green color in the plants, higher the green plants they are, more will be the process of photosynthesis. In first year you've learnt about photosynthesis, where you have variegated plants and all that, where the amount of photosynthesis is comparatively lower. So it basically depends on plant species inhabiting a particular area, variety of environmental factors like the availability of nutrients, water, and the photosynthetic capacity of plants. Therefore, we can say that productivity varies in different types of ecosystems. So here we have certain estimations based on the net primary productivity in various ecosystems. When we consider the whole biosphere, which includes all the ecosystem, the total amount of primary productivity, or I can say the annual net productivity, that is the net productivity per year in the biosphere, is found to be 170 billion tons of organic matter. This is the dry weight. Now please understand, biomass is the mass of the living organisms or the amount of organic matter. When we use the term dry weight includes the weight excluding the water content in the organisms. Now our body is made up of 70% of water and rest is the organic matter, what we say. When we exclude water, what is left is the dry weight. Okay, I hope things are clear to all of you. Biomass is basically referring to the mass of living organism, which includes the organic matter and also the water content. But when you exclude the water content, after excluding water content, whatever is left, that becomes the dry weight. So the annual net primary productivity of the whole biosphere is approximately found to be 170 billion tons of the organic matter, and mind you, this is with respect to dry weight. The productivity of the ocean is found to be 55 billion tons. So overall biosphere, it is 170 billion tons. The productivity in the ocean alone is around 55 billion. In per unit area, maximum productivity is found in tropical rainforest. So, tropical rainforest has the maximum amount of plant species. So, the productivity also will be much higher when compared to any other ecosystem. In ocean, nitrogen is considered to be the limiting factor, and in case of lake, phosphorus is considered to be the limiting factor. In artificial ecosystem, most productive agro ecosystem is sugarcane and rice ecosystem. It is around 3 to 4 kg per meter square per year. That's the annual productivity. Primary productivity are of two types: gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Gross primary productivity refers to the total amount of organic matter produced by plants during the process of photosynthesis. Out of gross primary productivity, some amount of organic matter will be used by the plants for the process of respiration. After using that considerable amount of gross primary productivity, whatever is left, whatever organic matter is left, that makes up the net primary productivity. See, I'll explain it to you with an example. Say there is 2 kilos of organic matter that is produced by the producer in a given unit area in a given unit time. Out of 2 kilos of organic matter, 200 grams will be used up by the plant for the process of respiration. Respiration is a catabolic process where organic matter will be broken down into simpler substances and energy will be released. So if 200 grams are utilized, what is the left amount of organic matter? That is 1800 grams. So now this 1800 gram is our net primary productivity. So to be very precise, gross primary productivity is the total amount of the organic matter produced by the plants during photosynthesis, of which a considerable amount of gross primary productivity will be utilized by the plants itself during the process of respiration, and the leftover organic matter makes up the net primary productivity. This picture helps us in understanding gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Producers utilize sunlight and other abiotic components to prepare organic matter by the process of photosynthesis. The organic matter that is produced after photosynthesis is our gross primary productivity. Out of this gross primary productivity, some amount will be utilized by the plants alone for respiration. After utilizing some amount of GPP, that is gross primary productivity, whatever is left is the plant's net primary productivity or the available biomass of the plant body. Now, suppose a person's salary is around 1 lakh rupees. That is his gross. That is, he receives 1 lakh rupees, of which around 20,000 he will spend for his other expenses. And what is left with him is 80,000 rupees. So, 80,000 rupees is his net. And what he was receiving is his gross. 1 lakh is gross. After expenses of 20,000, left is 80,000, which is his net. In this picture, you can see it is said that around 60% of the gross is lost for respiration. So how much is left? 40%. So this 40% is the net primary productivity or the available biomass of a producer. Okay. Now this organic matter will enter into the animal body, that is the consumer's body. Yes. So the available organic matter for the consumers from the producer is only 40%. I hope things are clear to all of you. In this picture, we can see some amount of energy is absorbed by chlorophyll to carry out process of photosynthesis. After the process of photosynthesis, organic matter is formed in the producers, which is our gross primary productivity. Out of the gross primary productivity within the mitochondria, respiration is carried out by the plants and some energy is lost in the form of respiration. We call this as respiratory loss. Whatever is left, whatever organic matter is left is our net primary productivity. This can be represented with respect to an equation where NPP is equal to GPP minus R. NPP is our net primary productivity, GPP stands for gross primary productivity, and R stands for respiratory loss. So NPP is equal to GPP minus R. The difference between GPP and respiratory loss will give us the net primary productivity, and this is the available biomass in the producer. Secondary productivity. Secondary productivity can be defined as the rate of formation of new organic matter by consumers. If we recall, students, when we use the term primary productivity, I said that there is formation of new organic matter or formation of organic matter by producers, then it is primary productivity. If it is formation of organic matter with respect to consumers, then it is secondary productivity. In this picture, you can see the plant is eaten up by the rabbit. So the plant organic matter is now in the animal's body. In the animal's body, the plant organic matter will be broken down into simpler substances and it will be utilized, or it gets assimilated in the animal body and it will be stored in the form of animal organic matter. Some amount of food that cannot be digested or the waste are put out in the form of feces. So gross secondary productivity of the consumers will be that how much energy that is assimilated, how much nutrients are assimilated and how much new organic matter is formed. That is our gross secondary productivity. Yes, so food eaten minus feces will give you how much is the organic matter that is stored, correct, or formed and stored, to be precise. Now in the second picture you can see food eaten minus energy feces. That is our gross secondary productivity. Okay, now that organic matter is utilized by the rabbit for its cellular processes like respiration. So some energy will be lost during the process of respiration. So whatever will be left after respiration and after any kind of energy loss is our net secondary productivity. It is the same as we have learnt in primary productivity. So I repeat, when it comes to primary productivity, it is with reference to the amount of organic matter produced by the producers. When it comes to secondary productivity, it is with reference to the amount of new organic matter that is produced by the consumers. And in this, you should always know the organic matter that is produced is the gross. Alright, and some amount of energy will be utilized for respiration. So that is respiratory loss. So GPP minus respiratory loss will give you NPP, net primary productivity, in case of plants. In case of animals, it's the same, but the only term we use is GSP, NSP and R. So NSP is equal to GSP minus R, that is net secondary productivity minus gross secondary productivity, net secondary productivity will be equal to gross secondary productivity minus respiratory loss. So this is all about productivity. So in this session we learnt what is productivity, the two different types of productivity, primary and secondary productivity. Further, we discussed that the primary productivity is being classified into gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Along with that, we learnt about respiratory losses, and the same thing with respect to secondary productivity as well. So with this, we complete this session. In the next session, we will take up a new topic called decomposition under the chapter ecosystem. Thank you.